Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with Sean and Damon and
Cletus.
Hey! But we just want to talk a little bit about the new trailer that just came out, the teaser trailer for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It's pretty cool, pretty excited. I had some thoughts about it. Just wanted to kind of talk about it.
Just a few.
Just a tad. I mean, it's not like we're all wearing Star Wars shirts for...
Yeah, I mean, that was a complete coincidence, right?
Listen, I didn't...
Totally.
This is horrible scripting. You don't even have
Off the cuff, man. This is real. This is reality TV.
Go ahead, Maestro.
This is going on Vice.
All right, so basically I was on my way back from College Station last Friday when it came out, and
C-Stat, what up?
I was driving. I probably shouldn't have been watching videos, but you know how it is. And I watched the trailer, and I kind of jotted down some thoughts here about the trailer. And I'm just gonna go right into it. So, after I saw the trailer, I thought it was perfect. Luke is still and always will be predominantly light side, but what I think he wants to do is de-institutionalize the Jedi Order and embrace a more balanced approach to the Force, much like the Grey Jedi. The dogma and hypocrisy by the late Jedi Order, by getting involved in a more of a balance in the Force, by eliminating dumb rules like you can't marry, or you can't fall in love, or you can't train if you're past a certain, like become a Jedi if you're past a certain age. Basically make it less culty is what I thought. And also you have to remember that Kylo Ren and Snoke are technically not considered Sith. Like they're just kind of, they are dark side users, but they're just kind of like something else entirely. And so, you know, I think it could be the same thing with what Luke is trying to do with the Jedi type thing. And so, you know, they do delve with the dark side. I think this is something similar to what I believe Luke is going to try to do with a more benign approach, obviously, than Snoke and Kylo Ren. And I'm all for it. The hypocrisy of the Jedi is highlighted when Obi-Wan says to Anakin, only a Sith deals in absolutes, which the Jedi have been operating in absolutes for millennia. So that absolution is what Luke has realized that causes Force users like Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, and countless other acolytes to fall into the lure of the dark side completely. I call it the concept of, it's like the concept of parenting. When you teach kids what is right, but you severely shelter them, you're kind of harming them by giving them an inability to abstain from temptations that come knocking because they haven't been given a complete, balanced, and proper worldview. It's what I call the forbidden fruit principle. So instead of shielding his future students from the dark side, I believe Luke has learned to expose them to their inner darkness in order to be triumphant against it, much like Yoda did with Luke whenever Luke faced his dark side in that cave in Dagobah. So that's kind of what I thought when I saw the trailer. But
okay, that's all for this video. Thank you. See us again next week for
Great. I don't know about the forbidden fruit principle, because even Yoda, considered, if you were going to really consider it one of the greatest Jedis of all time, even he dealt in absolutes. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. There was no there's a good use of fear. But still, I mean, if you draw from the Jedi principles, mm-hmm. which is about keeping the peace, even in war, I mean, you can look at sometimes you have to go to war to defend the things that you care about. And if you look at the history of Star Wars, I think what you'll notice is that there wasn't really conflict until war. Well, sure, the elimination of the Sith has existed. The rule of two didn't always exist, mm-hmm. going back to other Star Wars games and things further in the lore. But I don't necessarily know if he's going to go Grey Jedi mm-hmm. in Episode 8. However, it would be cool. I did like the throwback to the Dagobah scene where he enters the cave and he faces his fear. And in the very beginning of the trailer, she emerges from a cave, sweating, heavily breathing, and I honestly think the scene where she says, or where you see Luke say it's time for the Jedi to end, I think that may be what she fears. So I think that may be what she goes in and the last thing that she sees. And also I think it adds a great tagline to any major franchise film, to say like, hey, the protagonist that you've grown so much to love and everything that you like about the series, we're going to end that right now. I don't think that's going to happen. Some of the other things that I noticed, obviously just candid shots, Poe Dameron, candid shot of the late Princess Leia, R.I.P.
Yes.
R.I.P. Because they wanted to make him to still make him relevant. We do see that Carrie Fisher's character, Princess Leia, does have screen time. They're probably going to dedicate the film in her name. Would make sense.
Oh, which by the way, it was confirmed that it is actually going to be her last movie. So
yeah, well, it was. I mean, she's passed, so it's not like she's going to make any more.
Right,
movies.
She done died.
But they're not going to CGI her or anything like that.
Oh, no Moff Tarkin.
No.
That was amazing, dude.
But I mean, there's only one thing that I wish they would have done, but I understand why they didn't do. I just wish that we could have seen more diversity in regards to lightsabers. Like, Rey has carried this staff with her since the beginning of the film, and I really think she should have just put the lightsaber on the end of the staff and made it a light pike.
Although, hey, look, Luke had his original lightsaber and then he made a new one.
He made his
you
own
never
lightsaber.
know, maybe for episode 9 she might...
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
he only did that because he had his hand chopped off and lost a lightsaber. Which so how happened to end up in Rey's possession.
Coincidence, right? Nothing is coincidence.
Nothing
only
is
the
coincidence
Force,
in the Force.
But yeah.
Surrounds us, binds us.
One thing that she said was she mentioned that balance, and honestly, like this great Jedi theory that I kind of like thought about, it's kind of where I see it going a little bit, just because if you look at Rebels, you look at Bendu, you look at that gray stance concept, but I do have one, I guess, kind of like a fear, not necessarily like a fear. Like, I think it's a good thing that they're trying to look at a more balanced approach to the Force, if that's the case. But my only fear with that is it kind of takes a turn towards moral relativism and I guess subject morality, to where like I believe there are things that are right and there are things that are right, there are things that are wrong. Like some things are black and white. Not like some things can be gray. I agree with that, but some things I believe, like I'm not saying that it is going that direction. I think it could. It just really depends on which way Disney wants to take it. But I think there is right and wrong. I mean, I can't just like there are some things that I can't just go like curb stomp a dog or and then or like go.
I mean, what if the dog is killing a child? At that point, I mean,
I can't just go up to someone and murder them for no reason and say it's right. Like there are some things that are clearly not right, and that's the only problem that I kind of have with. I think that they'll find a way to do it to where, but. Just heading that direction towards moral relativism, it's a little bit like Luke is always that guy that's like, no, I will not turn to the dark side. I will not, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. So I don't know.
Even in his moments.
That's what Lucas wanted him to portray him as. Like in the books, that's why I think that's part of the reason why they had to decanonize the hundreds of books that were written, where Luke went dark side and then he went light side, and then he like. Lucas didn't want that because he wanted Luke to be the savior of the universe, the chosen one, the epitome of good, overcoming evil and never faltering to the dark side, right? Like even in the end of episode 6, he said, "Kill your father," and he was about to, and then he chose not to, and Palpatine was like, "All right, well screw this," and started to kill Luke. I think that so far as the trailer goes, that episode 5.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Episode 5. Episode 4, Force Awakens. They have a giant death ball that shoots lasers.
Yeah, that was the question.
A guy who comes out of nowhere, discovers that he's force sensitive, starts on a desert planet, discovers the hidden Jedi.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they meet. Like he went to go find.
Yoda.
He went to go see Yoda, right? But he didn't. I mean, he was trained by Obi-Wan with just like
bare
bones.
Training.
Like he on their way to the Death Star, he was playing with that little drone, and then Obi-Wan dies, and then that's literally all he's got.
Yep.
And then he got his butt kicked and everything, and then they blew up the star.
Yeah. So what do you think is the big weapon that they're gonna have?
Another death planet?
No, I hope not as well. We didn't see anything like that. However, we did get kind of like pictures and some reference material in regards to like episode 7, how they were going to have something similar to a Death Star.
Yeah.
But I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to bring out Snoke, which interesting. I have some really good theories about Snoke. Now, all of these come from the internet, so I can't say that any of these are my own. Disclaimer.
It's always true.
So there's 2 different theories that I think would be cool. The first one is Snoke is actually Mace Windu.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
So what happens to Palpatine when he gets struck by his own Force lightning?
He turns into a frumpy old
dude, even whiter than he was before.
Like the doo-doo emoji.
Like the doo-doo emoji.
Doo-doo emoji. Like a dog doo-doo emoji that's been sitting out in the sun for like weeks.
An albino doo-doo emoji.
Like that's got a little fungus growing on it. So it's super white.
Super
crusty.
White. So one reason that I like this theory is because in reference to the film, they talk about, did you feel it? The Force Awakens. They're not talking about Rey. They're talking about Finn in this theory. Finn becomes force sensitive when he sees his friends die on Jakku and watching Kylo Ren kill. Just survives the fall, canon, which is canon for sure. After he falls out of the building, he actually survives and kind of takes time to not die, essentially. Which would make sense why he looks like that.
It's really possible. In fact, it was really funny because in the Star Wars celebration in London that they had, or in Orlando that they had just a few days ago, whenever John Boyega came out, they put Finn Windu as a joke on the bottom, and then they also put Rey Kenobi, which I thought was funny. You know, it's possible. Also, Samuel L. Jackson did a little video at the Star Wars celebration saying that even George Lucas said that Jedi have been known to fall from great heights and survive. And he told Disney, you know, I'm ready to make a movie. Like, whenever you say the word, let's make it happen. So I'm not counting it out completely. You know, it's possible. It'd be cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like that Darth Maul thing, like where I kind of wish they wouldn't have brought back Darth Maul. You know. In a way, like, I just felt like they needed to keep him dead. Like, he got cut in half, especially Darth Maul. Like, I can see Mace Windu surviving a lot more than Darth Maul. Because, come on, he got cut in half and fell down, like who knows how far, you know?
Also, another thing to consider why the Mace Windu Snoke theory makes sense is because Windu was a user of Vapad, which combines light and dark.
That's
also
true.
bringing balance to in the Force, which is why his lightsaber is purple in canon. Good, dark, blue, red, purple. That's how they got that. But Samuel L. Jackson just really likes the color purple.
And they weren't originally going to put purple in there, and Lucas said, here's a purple lightsaber, and made it. Hello, child. That's a butthole.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to say, like, the reason why I brought moral relativism is because historically, the Star Wars movies have mirrored social trends that have been going on in society. For example, when A New Hope came out, the German Nazis, Nazi Germany was very fresh in people's minds. Even George Lucas said this.
Yep.
And so the way that they created the Empire, the very like
goose stepping, helmet signifying space Nazis.
Very, very Nazi oriented, and everything was very like
And they're all
right and wrong, light and dark, you know, moral absolutes, right?
Yep.
At that time period, that's how it was. Now, that movie mirrored the social constructs that were going on at that time. The reason why I bring moral relativism into this one is because if we follow the same trend into conclusion, we can assume that this movie is going to have some of those social elements that are going on in our society right now, I guess, subtly ingrained into the movie. And which brings me to my next point, which I can't help but notice. Look, I just want to say this. I want to be clear about this. I'm a big fan of Rey. I'm a big fan of the female leads. I think they're great. I think we needed more female leads. Now, that being said, I do feel there's like, it's almost like they're trying too hard to push the female like lead and the female hero, the female like
heroine.
I guess the female
Instead of having a male protagonist, they introduced the heroine to the story.
Right, which I don't have a problem with, but there's a little bit of
You feel like they're doing it on purpose.
It's almost like they're overdoing it, in my opinion, because
It's too on the nose.
first of all, so when Disney was sold to Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm,
was sold to
When
Disney.
Disney sold to Disney.
I'm sorry. George Lucas sold
It's
Lucasfilm
too bad
to
you want to
Disney.
do this in one take.
Damn.
It's all good. No, but whenever George Lucas did that, Kathleen Kennedy has been, if you hear her talk, now, if you hear her, anytime that she's spoken, she sounds like a feminist. I mean, she really does.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I'm just saying that's the way that she's kind of pushing these characters, which is fine, but I just feel like it's a little bit overdone. And I don't have a problem with feminism, although my only problem with feminism is the fact that I feel like feminism is not about equality anymore, it's about superiority.
Man, I wonder where
No.
you have possibly heard that idea from.
Well, you said it, my friend Corbin said it. He's out there watching.
What is this
But,
really about?
Well, okay, I'm gonna get to the point. Okay, so she
Oh, there's a point?
she has been introducing all these female characters, which is cool. I love that, right? But I just feel like it's almost like it's overkill. Now, let me explain. So you have Daisy Ridley playing Rey.
Yep.
She's the main protagonist for the movie.
She's great.
For the so far for the trilogy.
Right, and which I love Daisy. I love her work, and she's great. You have Sabine Wren in Star Wars Rebels, which she has a prominent role. You have Hera, which are great. You have Ahsoka in Clone Wars, which, you know, that's fine. Then you have Jyn Orso in Rogue One, which basically it's like she's the main protagonist. You're seeing the hero story basically through her perspective, and she's the main focus in that movie. Now they're introducing another female hero, Rose, played by Kelly Mary Tran, in the new Star Wars that's going to come out, The Last Jedi, which is cool. But then you have Battlefront, the new Battlefront 2 game that the trailer just dropped for that. And it's a female lead. Again, another female lead. Her name is Iden Versio, apparently. And now the game looks really cool. I'm not hating on it. You know, I
hate on anything that EA makes.
I think it's going to be hard.
EA and Microsoft, they're the devil.
You're a gamerist.
I think we can all agree that it's going to be very hard to top the original Battlefront 2 as far as what you could do.
Yeah.
Oh, child.
But, you know, the main storyline is based on another female protagonist, right?
And I just like the fact that they're all different. I mean, it's not like it's generic female character number 6 that they've just copy pasted onto 5 different characters. They're all individuals. That's so like I give them like slight props, but like to make them all individual characters, and they're all vastly different.
And look, I'm not saying this to hate on anyone, and I'm definitely not like against women or anything like that. This is just simply an observation because I see a trend here. And the books for the Battlefront 2 game are written by a female, right? Christy Golden, she's going to be doing the writing for that. And so, like, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. It's just I don't want them to overdo it so much to where it's like, oh, really? Like another female lead? Like, come on.
Where it's cliche.
Right. And I do agree with you in the fact that they are very diverse characters. I'm all for that. I really think it's cool. I'm all down for the female leads. It just brings me back to the point where you see the social norms of society kind of filtering into these movies a little bit. Like you have a little bit of the moral relativism.
A little bit of Monica.
Yeah. And then you have a little bit of
all that long.
The feminist, not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's a feminist movement, but it's like you do see that influence in there a little bit, even if it's a little bit. You know, that's all I'm trying to say. Those are just like observations that I have about
as long as it doesn't bash you in the head. I mean, I don't see an issue with that.
Right.
It's not like they looked at every other Jedi and were just like, yeah, all of them are sexist, and you only see white Jedis because everyone's racist. But I mean, I also have some issues with more modern trends nowadays. But that could be just just them wanting to kind of more modernize the franchise, which I'm okay with, as long as they're interesting, diverse characters.
Right. Mm-hmm. And there goes.
What do you think, Sabine?
Thank you, Sabine.
Come tell us what you think.
But yeah.
The other theory that it's part of the Snoke is Mace Windu. Rey is actually Palpatine's daughter. That's another interesting part. She has a very particular move.
Daughter?
Lineage, whether daughter or granddaughter. She has a very particular strike that only Palpatine does, and it's a double-fisted like straight-up stab.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that was interesting. It'd be cool. It'd be funny, and that's why they called him Finn Windu. Great, hilarious. But the other theory that I saw is that Snoke is actually the opposite side of the coin from Anakin Skywalker. So, you know how in the original trilogy they say Anakin doesn't have a father. He just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And Darth Plagueis the Wise, which is not a tale the Jedi would tell you, it was about him trying to become immortal. And in that, he created Anakin Skywalker. But because there is a balance to the Force, it would make sense that if it did go awry, there would be another individual that was born of Darth Plagueis. That's the opposite, which is why Snoke seems even more nefarious. Interesting theory. I'm going to wait till...
So you think that Snoke was born of the Force as well?
Yeah. Well, in this theory...
If you were to look at his age... how he looks, that would make sense.
He's definitely been through a lot. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Also, that does also make sense because if you look at the episode, and I forgot the name of the episode, but in Clone Wars where Anakin and Ahsoka go to the planet, and I forgot the name of the planet, but it was the light side and the dark side at war with each other.
The Mortis.
And the dark side won. Remember? Dark side killed the light side.
Yeah, but there was a sacrifice, like an essence sacrifice. And the sun was banned, which was pretty cool. But,
Well,
I mean, it's viable, I guess.
Well, and back to what I was saying, the reason why I say episode 5 is because if you look at the trailer, where is most of the trailer spent? On the island, right?
Very reminiscent.
I
of
also
Dagobah.
think that it's very reminiscent of Dagobah. There's the cave where she comes out screaming, which I honestly believe, and I agree with you, that is some kind of very deeply force sensitive. Now, they also go in there. If you see her training on the hillside with her lightsaber, going to the stances and the katas that they do.
Yep.
And there's a statue at the end of it. Also, you see there's a split scene where a light is shining on a couple of books, and then you see a book on a table with the Old Republic sign on it. Well, cat. With the Old Republic sign on it, and then you see a glove. I thought it was Rey at first, but
It's a
it was
glove
the
hand.
right hand. And who wears a glove on the right hand at all times? Luke.
Yep.
Because he has a mechanical hand.
Indeed.
Right.
And
You think that
I-
might be Yavin, or you think that might be Octu? Like in the now,
I don't think it
remember
was
that
Yavin.
The trailer. This is just a teaser trailer. It's not even like they're
The
still
real
going to come
trailer.
out with like 2 other trailers.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
So that's one thing to keep in mind.
I think that's where he trained the Jedi. He wanted to start the new Jedi Order.
Yep.
I think that's where Kylo Ren murdered all of the other people.
At the island,
Which
on
is
that island,
why
I
he
think
would be
that
there
is-
as a form of punishment.
kind of like Darth Vader has a castle on Mustafar
Yes.
to remind himself of his failures.
Yes.
And they're probably like the same reason Obi-Wan hid Anakin in Tatooine, because Anakin or
Hates
Darth Vader
sand.
hates sand, and he wouldn't go back
I
there.
hate sand.
So that's quite
Gets in
possible.
between your toes. It's coarse.
I think you might be onto something, but you know.
And it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
I
It does.
prefer.
It does. It does get everywhere.
Guys, if you're listening, that's the pickup line you want to go with right there. So
And then use the Force to cut a freaking pear and feed it to her.
And just make sure you talk about aggressive negotiations.
yes,
That's ultimately gone.
And then break every rule that you are ever told to believe in.
Yep. In there like swimwear at that point. So let's go with big thoughts from trailer. If you could pull one major concept from trailer that you think will definitely be in the film, would you say that it's moral relativism? That's what you were hinting at earlier.
that's what I'm kind of feeling.
Okay.
Personally, what about you guys?
Episode 5.
You think it's
honestly-
basically going to be like a, hey, it worked last time, let's do it again.
I honestly think that. I think that they're gonna, because, like I said, where's the most of the trailer? Right there. Now they're gonna reveal who Snoke was. In episode 5, they revealed who Vader was.
Yeah.
I am your father. And then, just because in episode 4, who the heck is Vader, right? And you got this random kid. What is going on? Why is Vader so consumed with this kid, right? And so there was so much suspense growing up with that. I remember talking to my dad, and whenever he watched episode 5 answered every single question that episode 4 gave to you.
Posed, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to... I'd say it would be kind of a stretch for them to hold off Snoke for another. I think it's going to be a trilogy, and I think this is episode 5.
And you remember?
But it worked.
Remember
It
in The
worked
Force
for episode-
Awakens, Snoke says to Kylo, he says, you know, if Luke Skywalker returns, you know, basically like the Jedi will rise again, or something along those lines. And so basically what that tells you is that Snoke knows very well who Luke is, or what Luke is capable of. And I don't know, that could be like a hint somehow. But what do you think?
I think it is definitely going to pull from episode 5, simply because if you look at the prequels, they weren't necessarily as revered as George Lucas would have liked, simply because he went off the cuff a lot and kind of suffered for it. But and they.
Which, for the record, I like the prequels. Some of you guys might not.
And that'll bring me to my point in a second.
In episode 7, they basically just rehashed episode 4, which I saw it. I wasn't necessarily the happiest of campers, but I did like the fact that Star Wars was being remade for our time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So while there was the Star Wars of the past, which was like my dad's Star Wars and your dad's Star Wars and your dad's Star Wars, where it's episode 4 or just Star Wars, no subtext, no nothing, it's just a brand new film. Episodes 5 and 6, they had to wait years for these films, and it built up so much tension and so much desire to go see these films. Very similar to what they're doing right now, which is they're releasing it every 2 years with a story film in between. Rogue One coming out in 2016, and the Han Solo film that's coming out in 2018. So ready. But I think they're gonna pull ideas from episode 5, like the cave and the training. But I think the part that they're going to add is I think they're going to add kind of the opposite side of the coin, where you see Snoke actually training Kylo Ren to really tap into the dark side and simultaneously pull from the light. Because ultimately, that's what Snoke actually says. I mean, he not to say that I agree with Snoke and everything, but he actually wants balance, which is why he does teach dark side tactics and dark side methodologies.
Could you see like Snoke and Kylo Ren teaming up with Luke and Rey for some greater cause? Kind of like in the Old Republic, the Sith Empire joined the Jedi to beat what's his name? The Emperor, I forget his name. Lord Vitiate.
Is he the one who absorbed entire planets?
Like he would possess, he would.
And he was in a ship made of scrap metal that he held together by the Force.
No, that's back in the other games. That's
right. Okay.
No, was it?
No, it was someone else.
Anyway,
I think that basically what he's doing with Kylo Ren, what Snoke is doing with Kylo Ren is the same thing that Luke is doing with Rey, and I think that they're just teaching them both sides of it.
Yeah.
Because the issue where I think that the old Jedi Order is that dark side don't touch it. We're just not going to talk about it. Like, this is not a story the Jedi would tell you.
This
right.
Indeed.
But it's like you were saying, it's the sheltered sense. Like if you go out and you're like, holy crap, what is all this stuff? And then you fall into it.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
I think Luke is going to do the better side of that.
I think Yoda learned a lot from that mistake that the old Jedi did, because if you look in Rebels, you see there's actually an episode where Yoda fights his dark side. He goes to this planet and there's like
that was the last season of Clone Wars.
The wills or whatever they were called.
Qui-Gon taught him how to become one with the Force.
Yeah, but also like he fights his own dark side, and you see the dark side version of Yoda, and so like I think that was a very important lesson for Yoda, because that taught him that the dark side shouldn't be something you fear and run away from, but something you face head on and conquer. And I think that's what it shows whenever like the way that he trained Luke, like go into that cave, face your fears, face whatever's in there, like only you know.
Yeah.
And then Luke literally faced himself
as Darth Vader, which mirrors whenever Yoda faced Darth Yoda, which was really cool.
Uh-huh.
Also,
and Qui-Gon was a great Jedi, and he's the one who taught Yoda.
I mean, Qui-Gon technically wasn't a great Jedi, but he definitely had great Jedi tendencies. He had.
Yeah.
But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I definitely see that where even Luke tapped into dark side.
Right.
In episode 6, where he's actually fighting Darth Vader, and Darth Vader brings up Leia.
He pulled an Anakin episode 3.
He pulled an Anakin episode 3.
Against Duke,
went ape and just kept repeatedly bashing. No technique. It was all anger. It was all rage, and he won the fight and tamed it. And he's just like, no.
Yeah.
I think that moment, it was where Luke really learns the balance of the Force, using the dark side or your inner demons to make you stronger, but not giving into them entirely.
That brings me to the point that I was talking about. I think that episode 7 was absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Because it gave what Lucas was trying to do with 1, 2, and 3, but was missing from 4, 5, and 6. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. 4, 5, and 6. If you're like, whenever if you looked at Luke in episode 5, or the first few times that he fought Vader, he was slow. He was like that, and people were giving Mark Hamill a bad time, like that's terrible acting. But if you think about it, in episode 4, 5, and 6, the Force wasn't all flashy, lightning and stuff, and these cool special effects. It was the unseen. It was
More of a spiritual thing.
It's whenever you got Vader, Darth Lord of the Sith, and the Beacon of Light, Luke. You got these invisible forces on each other. And if you look at Vader does awesome parrying techniques to beat Luke, but then in episode 6, whenever Luke started using his anger, you saw him go like that.
Yeah.
And he just fell over.
It's almost as though he saw himself in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw what he had become and ultimately stopped fighting.
And episode 1, 2, and 3 was backflips and force speed and well, people have also said the reason why that is because everyone in 1, 2, and 3, they were trained.
Yep, they were battle hardened.
They were battle hardened and trained. They knew how to do force run. They Luke came back. They knew a lot
of techniques. They knew a lot of
force manipulations.
And when Luke came back in episode 6, he went up to the Gorian, and which was amazing. Just force tricked, just completely owned everybody and beat the best bounty hunter in the universe.
On accident.
Just in the pet. There you go. And then episode 7 came in. You got the awesome special effects. You got the really cool stuff. But then you got the like people. Our generation didn't understand it quite a bit because they just didn't get the unseen thing. They were like, how did the lightsaber end up in nowhere? How was she on the planet Jakku that the Millennium Falcon just so happened to be there where they fly, and they just so happen to be in the same sector as Han Solo, where they just so happen to run into 2 people that had the bounty on their heads, where they just so happen to run into Finn. Like it's if you understand the concept of 4, 5, and 6, and you think that they're awesome movies, mm-hmm. you'll understand that is the Force, the unseen. I think that 7 and 8 are going to be awesome. Or 8's going to be an awesome movie.
Yeah, I agree. Any closing thoughts? We are kind of way past the amount of time I wanted to spend talking about this. But anyway, you guys can leave comments, and I want to see what you guys think about it. I mean, this is like a discussion, so.
Yeah.
But
at me or combat me. That's exactly. Fight me on my knowledge. That's not true. Don't fight me on my knowledge at all.
No.
Please don't. But no, I think it'd be interesting if even one of the conspiracy theories is true. I think that'd be my favorite part. Either that, or I want to see different light weapons.
That'd be cool.
If someone starts handling a light whip, I might be done.
That would be definitely a nod to the EU.
Yeah. That'd
be cool. But anyway, thanks guys for watching, and like I said, leave comments, and I want to see what you guys think about it. I love talking about Star Wars. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video.
Brah.